A little bit of chaos to start the meeting. We'll be got some drum sound effects. Thanks for hanging around. I just wanted to give everybody an update on where things are looking. Let people get settled down here. And so just wanted to give everybody three things really kind of want to go over right now as far as information. We're gonna wait for the drumming to stop. I love it. That's getting us excited, getting us pumped for the meeting here. All right. I wanted to give everybody a picture of where we're sitting 6 months in, and kind of for a comparison point where we were 6 months in last year, just where things are sitting. And then I just wanted to speak a little bit on as well, moving forward into the fall, some of the things council's talking about, directions of the church, some things to maybe be hearing about from us. And then I will give the floor to Harlan for the third part, where he's going to give us an update on the search committee process. So we'll just kind of start with some numbers in where we are as of the end of June. So a semi-annual report as of June 30th of this year. I'm going to compare it to June 30th of last year. So a couple of things to look at just from a perspective of spending. We're pretty much in line with last year. If you look at 6 months in, total spending on staff, on salaries, $76,600 6 months in this year, $78,905 6 months in last year. As we move forward to the next 6 months, it could be a little bit different as our search process goes, and we discern with interim pastor and different things like that. But I would encourage us all to invest as if we had a lead pastor, because that's where we're going. And then if you look at some other elements, if you just look at our kind of some off-budget stuff and outreach and evangelism, about $2,000 or so spent there versus about $544 last year at this time. Adult discipleship were right at just under $1,000. Last year at this time it was $2,600. If you look at Christian education, right at about $7,800 last year at this time, $7,500, just under that this year. If you look at worship and music, we're just under $7,000. We were just above $8,600 last year at this time. Office, $9,500 this year at this time, about $8,300 last year at this time. Properties and grounds, $27,388 last year over 6 months. This year, $25,423. Utilities, pretty close, $11.9 thousand versus $11.4. And money that went to interest and principal, our principal payment right in that $21,000 range. Our interest payment, $23,000 went to interest last year for 6 months. This year, $26,500. So we've all seen interest rates move up, so it has affected us. But because we did refinance with the covenant, with the national properties, it's not as extreme as it could be with the way that they manage that. It's different than you would typically see. So I'm glad that we didn't do something that was coming due and needing to be refinanced at this point, because that would not be fun. But when you add up all of that, you can see nothing is way out of line. There's a few areas we spent a little bit more, a few we spent a little bit less. Our total expenditures including the $21,000 we've put into the building, which is our equity to utilize, $207,224. A year ago at this time, it was $205,633. So it kind of gives you an idea of where we are from a spending standpoint. As far as just giving to the general fund, and this would not include any gifts to the youth or off budget or helping hands, but just giving to the general fund for the first 6 months of the year is at $155,557. Last year at this time we were at 173,876, so a little bit of a difference, but 6 months in, we still got some time to kind of make that up. A year ago this time, our net deficit, when you just looked at it from a standpoint of not the equity, not including that, but just the spending, including spending into our equity, was 31,757 was the deficit we sat at that point in time. At this point in time, it's 51,667. And then if you just look at dollars and cents buffer that we have in checking and savings to be able to pay bills while we're in a deficit, we're sitting at about 106,000 as of the end of June. So these are all end of June numbers, 106,730 in our three checking accounts. A year ago at this time, we were at 207,699. So some of that extra spending was to kind of cover the deficit, but also, if y'all remember, we're kind of at that last part of that prepare fund offering, and that money is designed to spend, and that's been getting spent as well. So it's kind of a combination of why we're 100 less than we were a year ago. Part of it's the 50,000 deficit, but part of it's the money that's being utilized to kind of continue on with that prepare fund, which as of, to kind of give you a perspective, there was 121,728 in that at the end of June 2022, and now about 72,394. So about 50 came out of the prepare, and then the 50 that were behind, to kind of give you a perspective of where we are buffer-wise. And as we look forward, I think we've been here before. We've had moments of times at the half year mark where we're short. We've had moments where we've been in pretty good shape, and even in this year we've had I think about 3 months in, it looked really good, and then so it tends to ebb and flow like that. So I encourage you not to worry about the number, but I think our job is to kind of look forward and get excited about what we can invest in as we look at investing in Prairie Hills, and as we've been going through this past series on thriving and transition, just being open to what's next. So expect to hear from council as we move on to some other things. Expect to hear from us as far as getting some things organized, getting some committees organized where we can kind of talk about what is the next chapter for Prairie Hills. So that'll be one goal that council has, is to get some stuff organized there and to get everybody involved as we look forward to what is next for Prairie Hills. Today was just a great service, and I think that just this whole summer after Pastor Rick's retirement, I've been very encouraged by how we've moved forward just here on Sundays and worshiping. Another thing I'd expect to hear from leadership as we move forward is what's it look like as we move into the school year and then in the next season of worship. So we will be reporting on that as well. As we look at, in the past we've had interim pastors come in different ways. How do we kind of keep that motor running forward? And so expect to hear from us there as well. And what I wanted to do now, instead of jabbering on and giving a lecture to everybody, is just kind of open up the floor before I bring Harlan up, and I could bring other members of council up if the questions are more pertinent to them. But just to see if anybody has any questions or just anything that they want to share, whether it's questions about our general fund or spending the budget in general, or whether it's questions or statements about, as we move forward to Prairie Hills, that you would want to share as leadership puts our heads down and works to move forward in this next chapter of Prairie Hills. So I'm going to open it up to any questions or statements. Oh, come on. David. utilizing. Okay. Sure, sure. So one idea that we could talk about it from a leadership perspective is what could it look like, utilizing the technology we have today to bring sermons in remote. Okay, yeah, it's worth exploring. I'm sure there's some pros to that and maybe some cons to that too. Kathy? Yeah, so the repairs after the water leak, if you walk back there, everything looks pretty good as far as I know. I'm getting thumbs up from Christian. I used the bathroom over there this morning. It's nice, and yeah. So we'll be able to utilize the full facilities, and as we move into the fall, that'll be very important. Oh man, did we? Yeah. A lot of rain. Yeah, okay, so that'll be something. Okay. The joys of maintaining a building. But no, I think I look over there and I see a smiling Alyssa. I mean, yay. I've had so much positive feedback from all of the things going on this summer, including from my daughter Alice about the work being done with the youth and up at Lake Beauty. It was so great. My family was up there over the 4th of July just for the family camp, and just even from individuals up there, it was great. So. Would anybody else have any questions or just anything they'd want to share? All right. Well, yes. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Sure. Yep. So kind of how to best decorate. That'll be another thing we can talk about, and whichever way we do decide, we'll try to communicate what we're doing and why so people understand. Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else? Okay. But we're going to be busy, and just expect to hear from us from as far as things as we move forward. I'm excited to bring Harlan up here next, just to give you guys an update as we continue on the search committee as well.
I was asked to give you a little bit of an idea what a search committee process is all about. And first of all, I'm going to back up. Stacy is very involved. She actually has a week's vacation this week, which is wonderful for her on her. She just got done with doing honors choirs and a lot of other things going on in their life. They're just extremely busy, but she's actually on vacation for one whole week. So I'm your delegate to tell you what's going on with search committee, and I will encourage anyone else from the search committee to contribute as well. The whole process of the search committee is a lot more detailed than what you may think. And it isn't just a matter of getting a name and then making some decisions. I want to give you a little bit of an idea of what really happens. Number one, it's very strictly confidential. Even our spouses are not included in on the conversations. It's just extremely confidential. It has to be for the candidate and for the candidate's churches. The word can spread so easily and so fast. The last thing that needs to happen is a candidate's church find out that he is candidating before he lets the church know what he's doing. So it has to be extremely confidential. We're going to do our best to try and continue to keep you informed to the process, and we will tell you about the process. We're not going to give you names, and we're not going to give you even cities, at this point. We're just telling you what's happening in the process. So to start it out, the conference superintendent serves as a resource, and she provides us names and profiles from several sources. Again, the conference superintendent's comments are confidential for us. As a committee, we generally meet 2, sometimes 3 times a month, and it's basically a 7-phase process. The first one is an organization. We elected our chairman and vice chair and the other parts of it. We solicited some prayer partners. There's a couple of them here today. So we keep them informed for prayer reasons on items that we want to have prayer for. And then we contact the Northwest Conference, and that process generally took us 2 to 3 weeks. Then is an information gathering process. We compiled the information from our church. We asked you guys to fill out a survey. We compiled the comments from those surveys, and we decided we saw what your priorities are as far as what you want in our pastor and what you want representing in the church going forward. Kind of come up with a job description and criteria. Then one of the big jobs was completing our profile on the Covenant Connect website. This is all the details about our church. What are we trying to accomplish? Where do we fit at in evangelism style? Where do we fit at in worship style and all of those things? And so we try to do an accurate thing there. And then we can review some names that show up there. That brings us to the contact phase. And we're going to, in that process, there was quite a few names that were there. Some are there and had been there for 3 years. And included in there was Rick Carlson's name. So, it doesn't get necessarily cleaned up or whatever. We're going through the process of everybody's name that's in there, and so some of them are really not candidates. Some of them are not, really available right now, and we have to prioritize those names. So we've done that a couple of times. We've done it once, and we've gone back, and we've done it again. Then with the advent of COVID, one of the big advantages that we have is we're able to watch the other churches' services of these candidates. So now we can go in and we can watch their service, we can listen to the sermons, we can see once how they fit and try to work through some of those things. So we've had a lot of we're attending church a lot more often than Sunday. We're listening to a lot of things in the process because you want to listen to the sermons, but you want to listen to their sermon, you want to listen to their whole service too. It'll give you some ideas of what's going on. We could do some on-site interviews. We haven't done that yet. And if we want to, we can go visit some of the candidates' churches. Up to this point, that hasn't been practical. We've been looking at people on East Coast, West Coast, way down south. We've looked at candidates from all over the country, okay? Then we're going to try and do some phone or video conferencing, and we've been using Zoom to talk to some people. And so we've talked to, I don't know, David, how many people have we talked to? 3 or 4, something like that. And one of them we've talked to more than once, but we just get an initial interview, and sometimes we say not interested, and we've had one say no, they're not interested. So we're getting feedback on that process. Then we will decide if we're going to identify a candidate later. Now, once we get to that point, we're going to narrow it down to our primary choice. And then we'll decide, or two, if we're going to do some interviewing a little bit more extensively. Then after that, we'll decide if we're going to bring somebody in to at least just visit the town and the church without meeting the church people. So we've got that phase to go through as well with a candidate. Once we have identified, we have someone that we like, then we will present that candidate to the congregation. And we will ask them to do what we call start a candidating phase. And to do that, first we need to clarify the terms of the call. We're going to have to work on the salary package before they come to town. And we're going to try to, at that point, if they haven't already, by a Zoom or something else, we're going to make sure that they try and meet with our current staff. And so they understand all that. Then we'll do the next phase would be the call phase. And that means we'll bring someone in, and then we will have to have a package ready to present to the congregation. The congregation will have to accept that package. And at that point, we would send a written letter of call. And then the pastor has to decide if they're going to accept the call. After that, then we go into the commitment phase, which is actually preparing for the move and the installation. And the last phase is the ministry phase, where we put the pastor to work and hopefully do some good pastoral relations. So where we're at right now in that process, we're still in the contact phase. We're still talking to individuals. We do have another contact with a new person that our conference superintendent gave us a couple of names. We looked at them. We looked through their profiles, listened to some of their sermons, and we said, we'll talk to this one. So we do have one more call set up for a couple of weeks down the road. And at that point, then we'll decide a little bit more if we're going to invite them in to come and visit, or if we're going to narrow it down to just one and do some actual candidating phase. So we have one that we have talked to in the past, and that one is still, to our knowledge, available, but they have said we need to wait. And it's for his personal reasons and for family reasons. And we have the one new one that we're going to be talking to in a couple of weeks. So keep on praying for us, please. Your prayers are being felt, and they're very much needed. So that's where we're at, okay?
All right. Yeah, and I wanted to also invite Alyssa up just to give everybody a little bit of an update. I think one of our goals is not just to assume that everybody knows each other. That's why we're wearing name tags today. And we're also working on the directory.
Hi. So I just want to thank you all for being so welcoming and so inviting to me when I first started working in the office. I know you've known me and my family for as ever long I've been here. So I want to thank you all for just being so welcoming and so kind to me and my mom. But for a little update with the directory, I would love to have it done by the end of August. But to do that, I need you all to check your information. Even if you've been here for like 20 years, check it, please. so that I can just check your name off and move on to the next person I need to hound. So please, I would love not to hound each and every one of you, so please check your information. And then if you could send me either a picture of your family, or I'd be happy to take one for you. I'd love to have all of us have names to faces, so that's my plan for the directory. Please send me either picture, or I can take one for you, but thank you, and bye.
Oh, we got a question.
Ooh. I would love to have it to be a paper directory first, and then we actually have an app called Breeze. And so when I have everybody's correct and updated information, well, this is what Christian is telling me. So yep. So yes, it'll be both paper and online, but I'm working on the paper one first. Thank you. Yes. Is it in Breeze? Yep. So I have the one that Pastor Rick worked on last year. That's the one from 2022 that I have currently printed off and sitting in a binder. So that's the most updated information that I have currently for all of our members that are currently attending. So in that binder over there, that's the most updated information that I have. So if you could just check mark it off, fill out one of those papers out there with like data collection form and turn that into me as well. That's all I need you to do. So, yeah. Any other questions?
What's your email?
Oh, it's my first name, capital A, at prairiehills.org. 2 L's and 2 S's. Yep, I'll be removing the businesses and directory, and I'll probably just make a separate form in the paper of this is the businesses that we cooperate with, but I'll be taking it out of the actual members of our church. So yeah. Anything else? Okay, cool. Bye.
Thank you, Alyssa. I just wanted to, before I close, just kind of give you a couple of big things that we'll be talking about in leadership. And then before I close, if anybody had any questions or anything to share on that, one of the big decisions that we're going to be speaking of moving forward into the fall, is what does it look like? This summer we've had great, like I said, great services with Christian and Kara leading, bringing in guest pulpit supply. But as we move into the fall and we continue with that search, what does that look like? So we're currently brainstorming what could a potential interim pastor position look like. Maybe not like we've had in the past where we've had somebody drive down from Minnesota and work full time, but maybe somebody more local working part-time and doing some of the things kind of behind the scenes. Part of that just kind of helping to manage staff, part of that helping to just kind of keep the church moving forward in the right direction and visioning. And looking for somebody that has skills, certain skill sets in mind is one of the things that we're discerning right now and we'll be talking about. If anybody has any questions on that or comments, I'd like to hear from you, either whether it's here or just reaching out to somebody in leadership directly if you'd rather do it on a one-on-one. Another big thing that people are talking about that maybe some people have heard and some people haven't heard, it's like, if you remember, we had to get rid of the swing set that was falling down. So that's another thing that we're trying to figure out, whether we get that done this year or if it's a goal for next year. But having an outside area that just makes the church a welcoming place to come up to, not only for us and for the kids here, but for the kids in the neighborhood. And I know that's a big thing. And how do you do that? I know that apparently there's been families around here saying, hey, if you were going to do that, we would chip in. So, how could we do that? So that's another thing that's on our mind. So a couple of things I wanted to mention there. Lisa's raising her hand.
Do you want to make an announcement about our missionary visit next week?
Oh. Yes. Yes. Goodness sakes. How could I not do that? Thank you. I appreciate you. So Chris Hoskins will be coming to visit and to preach next week. So he's a missionary that we've been supporting for a number of years. So I'm very excited about that. Anna and I will be hosting him at our house. And so I encourage you to attend in person if you're able to next Sunday, and then after the service, to learn even more and be able to ask questions. We've we've got a space at the Pizza Ranch for how many in that room? Like 40? 48? Yeah. So it's really nice. Just go to the Pizza Ranch and eat what you like. There's lots of choices, and it's just kind of a nice space. We've done that. It's been a few years since we've done that with a missionary visit, but we've done that in the past, and it's gone over very well. So I encourage everybody to come to the Pizza Ranch after the service next. Yes. Oh, yes. What Pizza Ranch? There's lots of them. So it's going to be the one on, is it East 10th Street? So you're just going to head right and then left on 10th, and then it'll be on your left before you get to the interstate-ish. Yeah. Yep. Yep, the North Ranch Room is where we'll be. So, thank you. Anything else? All right, so I'm going to just go ahead and close the meeting in prayer. Father God, thank you for Prairie Hills, and please just be with us as we discern how to move forward. Help us to listen to you, and may your Spirit move in our own lives and in the life of the church, and may our presence in this space be meaningful to those of us who attend, but also impact the community in a way that draws people to you, Lord. In the name of your Son, Jesus, we pray. Amen. Thank you all.